Today, we're going to dig deep into the past. I mean, so deep that empires, writing, even the wheel, they haven't been invented yet. We're journeying back almost 2 million years to find the very first human footprints on the Indian subcontinent. It's a story that unfolds across massive ice ages and huge climate shifts, a journey of innovation that starts with a simple sharpened stone and ends with the discovery of metal, which, as you'll see, changed absolutely everything.
But that brings up a huge question, right? How do you even begin to tell a story from a time before words? It is the ultimate challenge for archaeologists and historians. I mean, think of it as the coldest of cold cases. Your clues aren't dusty old documents or royal decrees. No, they're chipped stones, ancient bones, and paintings that are fading on cave walls. So today, we're going to see exactly how these silent clues get pieced together to tell one of the most epic stories of all, our own.
Okay, first things first, let's just quickly break down the timeline we're dealing with. When we say prehistory, we're talking about that vast, deep era before any kind of writing. This is the Stone Age. Then you have proto-history, which is this fascinating middle ground. This is a time when cultures had writing, like the Indus Valley script, but we just haven't been able to crack it yet. And then finally, history begins when we get written records we can actually read. Our focus today, we're going right back to the beginning, into that deep, mysterious prehistory. So here's our roadmap. We're going to start in the almost unbelievably long Old Stone Age. Then we'll see how early humans had to adapt when the world's climate changed in a huge way. We'll watch the agricultural revolution unfold. Seriously, the single biggest transformation in human history. And we'll wrap up with the discovery of copper and then iron, metals that completely reshaped society and paved the way for everything that came after. Ready? Let's dive in. Our story kicks off in the Paleolithic, or the Old Stone Age. And look, this isn't a period you measure in centuries. We're talking hundreds of thousands, even millions of years. The theme here is simple, but it is profound: survival. This was a time of brutal ice ages, of giant prehistoric animals, and of our earliest ancestors figuring out how to turn a simple rock into the absolute key to their existence. The Old Stone Age is just so vast we have to break it down. The lower Paleolithic is the longest stretch by a mile, and it was dominated by early human species like Homo erectus. Then, the middle Paleolithic is marked by a major tech upgrade. The tools get smaller, sharper, and way more specialized. And finally, the upper Paleolithic. This is when modern humans, Homo sapiens, like us, show up on the scene, and they bring with them this explosion of creativity, art, and complex new ways of doing things.
So who were these first people? Well, the evidence we have points to Homo erectus, who migrated out of Africa and right into the subcontinent. They were nomadic hunter-gatherers, living in small groups, always on the move, following animals and waiting for plants to ripen. Their lives were completely tied to the land, finding shelter in natural rock caves like the famous ones at Bhimbetka. Their signature skill was making tools, and their favorite material was quartzite, a super hard rock that earned them the nickname Quartzite Men. For a long time, all we had was their tools. But then, in 1982, a partial skull was found, the Narmada Man, giving us the first direct fossil evidence of these early human relatives in India. Now, what's really fascinating is that even this early on, there wasn't just one single culture. We can see at least two different tool-making traditions. The Acheulean culture, which you find all across the south and center, perfected that iconic pear-shaped hand axe. But way up north in the Soan River Valley, the Soanian culture focused on simpler, heavier choppers made from river pebbles. This just shows that right from the get-go, different groups were adapting to their local environments, using the rocks they had on hand to design tools for the specific jobs they needed to do. It's the very beginning of regional diversity. For hundreds and hundreds of thousands of years, life was about one thing: survival. But then, in the Upper Paleolithic, something truly incredible happens. Art appears. In those same Bhimbetka caves where people sheltered, they started to paint their world on the walls, images of hunts, of animals, of daily life. We even find personal ornaments, like beads that were intricately carved from ostrich eggshells. This is a monumental shift. This is the human mind taking a giant leap into symbolic thought. It's the dawn of culture, of identity, and of this fundamental need to do more than just survive, a need to express. Then around 10,000 BC, the world itself changed. The last great ice age came to an end. As those massive glaciers that covered so much of the globe started to melt, the climate got warmer, sea levels rose, and forests expanded. This new era, the Mesolithic or Middle Stone Age, wasn't a crisis for humans, it was an opportunity. It forced them to adapt, to innovate, and to thrive in a brand new world.
And this new, warmer climate, it basically threw the doors of the subcontinent wide open in a way that just wasn't possible before. People became incredibly mobile, pushing into territories they'd never lived in. You can see it right here from the spread of these sites. They moved out from the river valleys to the coastlines, learning how to fish and use marine resources. They moved up into the hills and mountains, and across the huge Gangetic Plain. For the very first time, the entire Indian subcontinent truly became home.
So how did they do it? How did they conquer all these new, diverse places? With a revolutionary new technology, microliths. Now, these were not the big, heavy hand axes of the past. These were tiny, incredibly sharp stone tools, blades, points, and barbs. Some of them no bigger than your fingernail. Their small size was their genius. They were designed to be part of a bigger tool. For the first time, people could create arrows with stone tips or barbed harpoons for fishing. This was a total game changer. The giant beasts of the Ice Age were gone, replaced by smaller, faster animals. Microliths were the perfect tool for this new world.
And this new tech went hand in hand with a major shift in lifestyle. While they were still hunting and gathering, we see the very first steps towards domesticating animals, especially sheep and goats. People started building semi-permanent huts, and their spiritual world got more complex. We find deliberate burials, sometimes with items buried alongside them, like an ivory pendant found at one site, which suggests a belief in an afterlife. The art at Bhimbetka gets more dynamic, showing group dances and even men and women hunting together. Society was becoming more settled and a lot more complex.
All of those Mesolithic changes we just talked about, the new tools, the early domestication, the semi-settled life, they were all setting the stage for the single biggest change in our species' history. We call it the Neolithic Revolution. This is the moment humanity stops just finding its food and starts making it. This is the dawn of agriculture.
The shift to farming created a cascade of change that completely remade society. It all starts with growing crops like wheat and barley on purpose. For the first time, this creates a reliable food surplus. You have more than you need just to get through the day. That surplus lets people stop wandering and build permanent villages. And once you're living in one place, a whole wave of new technologies just sparks to life. Pottery to store your extra grain, polished stone axes to clear more fields, and trade networks to exchange goods and ideas with other villages.
One of the most important sites for this whole revolution is Mehergarh in modern-day Pakistan. It dates back to an incredible 7000 BC, making it one of the earliest farming communities in the entire world. I mean, just to put that into perspective, people here were growing wheat and barley and living in mud brick houses for thousands of years before the Great Pyramids of Egypt were even a thought. Mehergarh basically laid the foundation for the great Indus Valley civilization that would eventually rise up in the same area.
But get this. Farming wasn't the only mind-blowing innovation at Mehergarh. In a discovery that is just unbelievable, archaeologists found human teeth from 9,000 years ago that had been drilled with tiny, precise flint tools. This is evidence of the world's first dentistry. It's just an astonishing peek into the kind of specialized knowledge and problem-solving skills that started to pop up once people settled down. This wasn't just about survival anymore. This was applied medicine in the Stone Age. For millions of years, technology meant stone. But toward the end of the Neolithic, a brand new material changed everything: metal. The first metal that humans mastered was copper. It's pretty soft and has a low melting point, which makes it easier to work with. This discovery kicks off the Chalcolithic period, the Copper Stone Age. It was a transitional time, a bridge, when people used both the new metal tools and their traditional, highly advanced stone ones right alongside each other. As this table shows, the use of copper spread far and wide, but it looked different in different places. This wasn't one single unified culture. It was a whole network of communities, and each one was adapting this new technology in its own way. For example, in western Maharashtra, the Jorwe culture became known for its flat copper axis. But over in Rajasthan, at sites like Ahar, they kept up a really strong tradition of making sophisticated stone blades right alongside their new copperwork. It's this mosaic of regional cultures, all experimenting with this revolutionary new material.
Life in the Copper Stone Age became way more complex. People started the first large villages in peninsular India, some of them even fortified with moats and ramparts, which suggests conflict, or at least the need for some defense. They mastered new crafts like spinning and weaving, but maybe the most significant change is one that still shapes our world today, and you can see it in how they buried their dead. For the first time, we see clear differences. Some graves are elaborate, filled with painted pots and copper tools. Others have almost nothing. This is the first hard archaeological evidence of social inequality taking root.
Now, copper was a major step forward, but it's a pretty soft metal. The next great leap required something stronger, more durable, and, this is key, way more plentiful. See, unlike copper, which is rare, iron ore is one of the most common elements on Earth. Figuring out how to smelt it at high temperatures changed everything. The Iron Age is the final phase of prehistory, and it laid the groundwork for the great empires of India by giving people the tools to clear huge forests for farms and the weapons to build kingdoms.
While the Iron Age up in the north is associated with new types of pottery and the first early states, down in South India, it took on a totally unique and spectacular form. The defining feature of this era in the south wasn't just the iron tools, but the incredible stone monuments people built for their dead. We're talking about the mysterious and fascinating culture of the megalith builders.
Megalith literally just means large stone, and these cultures use them to create these elaborate burial monuments that you can still see dotting the southern landscape today. We see different kinds: urns buried in pits, stone-lined graves called cists, and tomb-like structures called dolmens, often surrounded by massive stone circles. The amount of pure communal labor it would take to build these is staggering, which tells us these were highly organized societies. And inside, archaeologists find a ton of grave goods, iron weapons, farming tools, and beautiful gold ornaments. They're a powerful statement about complex beliefs in an afterlife and the importance of social status. And this gives us just a beautiful glimpse into the symbolic richness of their world. At one site in Kerala, archaeologists found a terracotta sarcophagus that was carefully shaped like a boat. Just think about what that suggests. It's a belief that death isn't the final end, but that it's a journey, a voyage across some great sea into the afterlife. It's such a powerful, poetic idea, captured in clay and stone, connecting these ancient people to myths and beliefs from all over the world. You know, we can actually trace this entire immense journey we've been on through one simple, constant technology: pottery. The story is literally written in clay. It starts with the simple, sturdy, ochre-colored pottery of the first copper users. That evolves into the distinctive black and red ware that filled Chalcolithic villages. Then, the early Iron Age in the north brings the beautifully decorated painted gray ware. And finally, right on the edge of recorded history, you get the northern black polished ware, a glossy, almost metallic-looking luxury pottery that screams cities, trade, and powerful kingdoms. Each style is a chapter in the story.
Over 2 million years, our ancestors went from chipping a simple stone axe to forging an iron plow. Each one of those innovations, each adaptation, it didn't just change their tools, it changed their society, their beliefs, their entire world. Which really makes you wonder, doesn't it? When future archaeologists dig up our civilization, what innovations are they going to see as the ones that truly defined us? What's going to be our stone tool or our first seed planted in the ground?